Cars 3 felt more like a toy commercial than a movie. The other two car movies had engaging stories and likeable characters, but the new characters introduced in Cars 3, including Jackson Storm and Cruz Ramirez, were just bland, uninteresting characters and didn't add anything new or interesting to the franchise. I hated the fact that the Radiator Springs characters, except for Luigi and Guido, were sidelined, and really disliked that Mater only received a small cameo. Even though I consider Cars 3 Pixar's worst sequel, it's not a bad film and would be considered a middle tier movie if produced by any other studio. Finding Nemo is my personal favourite movie of all time, so my opinion on Finding Dory is slightly biased. I understand that Finding Dory is widely regarded as a solid sequel, but the sequel just didn't do anything for me, unfortunately. I would have loved it if more of the side characters from Finding Nemo returned, rather than bringing in new boring characters except for Becky, who I actually thought was quite funny. Finding Dory is mainly set in the Marine Life Institute, making it feel small scale when compared to the original, which had Marlin and Dory travel across the whole ocean. I've said it before and I'll say it again, Cars 2 gets way too much hate. Of course Cars 2 is a step down from the original, but it's still an extremely fun animated spy flick set in the Cars universe. It didn't help that every Pixar movie released prior to Cars 2 were considered masterpieces, but personally I don't mind Pixar making a fun solid film occasionally rather than a masterpiece. Toy Story 4 shouldn't have worked, as Toy Story 3 was a perfect ending to the series. But somehow it did, as Pixar weren't trying to make a traditional Toy Story sequel in the same style as the previous 3 films. Instead, Toy Story 4 is more of a Woody solo adventure. They gave Woody so much character growth in this film, to the point where he finally decides that he is no longer needed by an owner and is willing to join Bo as a lost toy. It's like Pixar can't make a bad Toy Story movie at this point. Let's just hope that Lightyear is also great. I understand that I like Incredibles 2 much more than many of you do. The film was released during 2018, a year full of great superhero movies, such as Avengers Infinity War, Shazam and Black Panther. But Incredibles 2 still remains my second favourite of the bunch, only behind Infinity War, which I consider to be the best Marvel movie of all time. Having Elastigirl go on the mission this time kept the film feeling fresh, and I like that Violet was given more character development than she received in the original. Monsters University is relatively small scale when compared to Pixar's other films, but it's still a very fun and enjoyable film. John Goodman and Billy Crystal continue to have great chemistry with each other, and I thoroughly enjoyed the use of Macappas, who were the dorky, unpopular monsters, and was surprised with the amount of heart and emotion that the film had. It is true that there's not really any dramatic stakes, as we already knew Mike and Sully make it to Monsters Incorporated, but it's still an extremely fun ride nonetheless. Toy Story 2 is one of the best sequels of all time in my opinion. It keeps everything that made the original so great, while also adding new fun elements and characters, such as the Woody's Roundup Gang and Wheezy. It's crazy to think that the original Toy Story was going to be a direct-to-video sequel, as it's far superior to any of Disney's other sequels in my opinion. Even though the original Toy Story only came out 4 years prior to Toy Story 2, you can really notice a drastic improvement on the quality of animation between the two films. I consider Toy Story 3 to be the best ending to a trilogy, as even though Toy Story 4 was great, I don't count it as a core Toy Story movie, because it was more of a Woody spin-off. Lotso is one of the most interesting villains from an animated film, and even his henchmen who received minimal screen time made a huge impact. The opening playtime scene had me confused as a kid, but it works well and shows Andy's growth throughout the 3 films, where even now that he's going off to college, Andy struggles to let go of Woody. Toy Story 3 is a masterpiece in my opinion, and I truly believe that it should have won Best Picture at the Oscars. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to let me know your ranking of the Pixar sequels in the comment section below.